Good morning, class. So today we're going to start with a new chapter. Before we start, let us try to understand the basic concepts of Indian legal system. All right. So we all know we have a very good legal system in our country, isn't it? Now, in India, our legal system has been generally divided into two parts. All right, into two parts. Now, in our legal system, it has been divided. Okay, so we have a legal system. Under our legal system, there is a court, isn't it? There is a court. Under legal system, we have our courts in our country. Now, when we talk about courts in our country, we have the subordinate courts, which we find in Kalimpong. Even in Kalimpong, we have courts, isn't it? We have a court of our own subdivision or district. Now, that part is subordinate courts. Now, over there, we have session judge and a district judge. All right. Now, that is the most, that is from the base. All right, we have the subordinate courts. On top of subordinate courts, we have district courts, and on top of district court, we have our high court. In West Bengal, we have Calcutta High Court, isn't it? Now, on top of High Court, we have our Supreme Court, which is the apex court of our country. So, this is how in our legal system, under our court hierarchy has been set, isn't it? Now, we all have got a basic idea how the hierarchy of our judicial system is. Now, the court has been divided into two parts. Remember, we have only one court, but it has been divided into two parts. One will look after criminal matters, and another part of the court will always look at the civil matters. One part of the court always listens to all those matters relating to criminal matter like rape, murder, kidnapping, robbery, etc. Another part of the court always looks after civil matters. For example, if there is a dispute of land, if there is a dispute of a property, if there is a dispute of anything which is related to civil matter. Alright, so it has been divided into two parts, criminal and civil matters. Alright, now another is, this much you have understood, it has been divided into two parts, civil and criminal. At the same way, the concept of law, in law, when we study law, it has been divided into two parts. One is for criminal proceedings, one deals with the civil proceedings. Alright, now cases related to criminal proceedings, Indian Penal Code is their Bible or a Gita or a Quran, whatever you want to say. Alright, the IPC, the Indian Penal Code, can be termed as a Gita, Quran, Bible, whatever you want to say, for cases relating to criminal cases. Alright, so it is a code. The Indian Penal Code is a code of law which has categorized all crimes into parts. Alright, now in order to function this IPC, there is a proceeding known as CRPC, Code of Criminal Proceedings. Now this is a Bible or a Quran, or this is a main book, and CRPC guides not only to judge but also to lawyers and to those investing officers. Alright, it is a proceeding. CRPC is a proceeding, IPC is a code. Always remember that. Alright, now in another part, this is for criminal activities. Now for civil also, for civil cases, there is code of CPC. Alright, civil proceeding. For civil cases, we have CPC, code for civil proceedings. Alright, so it has been divided into two parts. One is for criminal and another one is for civil. So today we are going to start with cases, codes related to criminal. Directly we can say IPC, Indian Penal Code. Alright, so over there we will try to find out the concepts according to your syllabus. Alright, so we are going to start with IPC, Indian Penal Code, IPC, I.P.C. Alright, so today we are going to start with Indian Penal Code. Now, the first is concepts. Alright, so first let us try to understand the basic concepts related to IPC, Indian Penal Codes. Now, the first one is movable property. Now, when we say movable property, what are the movable property? Under section 22 of IPC, under section 22 of IPC, a movable property is a property which can be easily moved from one place to another without changing its shape, size, quality or quantity. Now, the best example I can give is this green board which you see. This is a movable property, isn't it? This green board I can carry and I can take it home, or I can shift to any other places without changing its shape, its quantity or its density, isn't it? Now, this green board I can take. Now, this movable property belongs to whom? The answer is this movable property belongs to the school, isn't it? So, this is a movable property of a school. Alright, anything, similarly anything, this mobile device of mine is a movable property. It belongs to me. I am the owner of this mobile, so it is a movable property. Similarly, your book, your textbook is your movable property. That is your property. You are the owner of your textbook or a laptop or a mobile or a table, fan, anything which is movable. Anything which is movable, that is a movable property, and you are the owner of a movable property under section 22 of IPC. Alright, now if there is a tree, if there is a banyan tree, or if a tree with a greater value. Now a tree, can you term it as a movable or a immovable? Of course, you can't move a tree from one place to another. But if you cut that tree and make it into logs, now that tree becomes a movable property because you have cut it down and you have made a blocks out of it, and you are ready to transport that blocks or logs of that particular tree. Now that becomes a movable property. Alright. Now another example is a contract for cutting the bamboos and collecting of tobacco leaves comes under the movable property. Now anything which is cultivated and it is harvested and it is transported, all those things also comes under movable property under section 22 of IPC. Always remember that. Alright. So moving on to next is immovable property. What do we understand by immovable property? Immovable property is an immovable object. It is an item of property that can only be moved after destroying or altering it. Now, the best example is this school campus. This school campus is an immovable property. It can't be moved from one place to another, isn't it? Another example is our house, which we own, which we stay, where we stay. That is our immovable property. So, immovable and movable property has been defined under section 22 of our IPC. Now, moving on to next is concept of ownership and possession. Alright, so now we all know what is movable property and what is immovable property. Now, when there is a property, there is always an owner, isn't it? Whenever there is a property, there is always an owner, isn't it? So, what is ownership in IPC? Ownership is the state or fact of exclusive rights and control over property, which may be an object, land, or intellectual property. Now, what is ownership? Ownership is the exclusive rights given to whom? To the owner. Against what? To any object or any property which is movable or which is unmovable. Alright? For example, this phone. I am the owner of this phone. So, I possess this phone. So, I am the owner of this phone. This is a movable object. Now, our principal captain, sir, is the owner of this immovable property, this campus, isn't it? So, he is the owner of this property. The reason is, he possesses this property and he has the rights, exclusive rights of this property. Alright, so this is what ownership means. Now, possession. Possession can be defined as physically custody or control of any object. In other words, possession is not same as ownership. For example, a criminal might be owner of a stolen property or money which really belongs to another person. Now, possession. There is a difference. There is a huge difference between ownership and a possession. Alright, possession is to possess. Now, maybe if I give this mobile phone to my friend, saying that, okay, you can keep it for a certain amount of time. You can keep it for 3 to 4 days. You want it, you want to use it, so you can keep this phone. Now, the moment I give this property, my property to someone, now this phone is in position of this phone is in position at my friend's hand, isn't it? Now, my friend carries this phone. I have given him for a certain amount of time. Now, till a certain amount of time, he is in the position of this property. But that doesn't mean that he is the owner of that property. The actual owner is still me, but just for a moment, just for a time being, my friend is using this and this phone is under his position. Alright? So, another example is, if someone steals your mobile phone again, it's a movable property. If someone steals your mobile phone, for the time being, yes, that person has a possession of your mobile phone, but he has stolen that. So, he is not the real owner, but the actual owner is you. So, this is the concept of ownership and possession. Possession can be temporary. Alright, it can be for a moment, but ownership is for a lifetime, until and unless you sell it or you give it permanently. So, this is the difference between ownership and the possession. Alright. Now, moving on to next is concept of consent. Consent. What does consent means? Consent means permission for something to happen or agreement to do something. Now, in law, remember, the consent plays a very vital role, isn't it? Because if I give this mobile to someone. It is my consent. It was my will to give this mobile phone to my friend. So that doesn't become a crime. But if someone steals this phone from me, now that is not my consent. Someone has stolen from me. Now that is against my will. That is against my consent. So it becomes a crime, isn't it? So anything, if you move to someone's house with the permission of that owner, that is the consent of that owner. Okay, you want to visit my place? Okay, I allow you to visit my place. You can come and you go over there. That becomes a consent of the owner, isn't it? But if you step in someone's property without the consent of that owner, then what will happen? It will be related to trespassing, isn't it? You guys have already studied in law of torts what is trespassing, isn't it? So the consent plays a very important role in law. All right. So according to section 87 of Indian Penal Code, consent means permission given by a person who is 18 years above for all acts being done against him except that of causing or likely to cause his death or grievous hurt. So section 87 of IPC states that it is a permission given by a person, but that person has to be above 18 years old. Alright, it is a permission given to that person, but until and unless his life is in danger. Now, if I give a permission, if I give a consent that I will fight in UFC. Alright, that is my consent. Now that's a different part. Now, just because I have given permission that someone can use my property, that doesn't mean that that person will come and destroy it. Alright, so that consent is very important. Now consent in today's time, it's a general knowledge and you guys must know that below 18 years age, any physical relation with a girl is considered and it comes under POCSO. Why? Because that girl is below 18 years of age. What does the law says? According to section 87, what does the meaning, the concept of consent says in section 87? A person who is 18 years above. The consent comes only when a person reaches 18 years above. So this is the reason why under 18, if any girl child is exploited of any physical relationship, that comes under POCSO Act. Even though it was her consent to have some physical relationship, but then also the law does not agree with the consent of that child who is below 18 years old. So this is the reason why under 18 it comes under POCSO Act. Alright, so consent. I hope you guys have understood the concept of consent. Now the best example is, if A is a grown man of 40 years of age and he decides to sell his teeth to a dentist for rupees 1000 and allows the dentist to pull them out, then the dentist is not liable for causing injury to A because it was after A's permission the dentist pulled his teeth. Now, if I go to the dentist and I agree, okay, you can take my tooth and you can sell it. I am ready to sell my tooth. Alright? And the dentist agrees and he ready to pay me rupees of 1000. I have given my consent. Okay, you can do anything with my body. Now, while taking out my teeth or tooth, it hurts now, but I can't file a case against the dentist saying he has hurt me. Alright, so this is what it is trying to tell us. Now another one is concept of dishonesty. Alright, under section 24 of IPC, dishonesty means whoever does anything with the intention of causing wrongful gain to one person or wrongfully lost to another person is said to do that thing is dishonestly. Which means, section 24, the word dishonesty means an act which is done intentionally to cause wrongful gain to one person or wrongful loss to another person and has been used in relation to property. Hence, we should remember intention must be caused wrongfully gain or wrongfully loss to a person. So, dishonesty, according to section 24 of IPC, if a person has the intention to wrongfully gain something or to wrongfully hurt that person, then that is dishonesty. For example, if I lie to an owner, I want a property, and the owner is not ready to sell me the property. But if I lie that person and make him sign in a sale deed by fooling him, then it becomes dishonesty according to section 24 of IPC. Now, entrustment. Another one is entrustment. Okay, the example for dishonesty is if A finds a ring belonging to B on a table in B's room and removes it for his own use, A's act is dishonest since it amounts to wrongfully gain to A and wrongfully loss to B. Now, if there is a ring, I have kept a ring or a mobile phone, alright, on a table. Now, if Mr. B enters in and tells that and takes away my mobile phone in a wrong intention, his consent is wrong, so that he will take it away. Now that is dishonesty. Alright, something which is taken dishonestly by not fear means it can be termed as dishonesty. Now the last one is entrustment. Alright, entrustment means whoever being in any manner entrusts the property or with any given power over property dishonestly misappropriates, misuse or dishonestly uses or disposes of that property can be termed as entrustment. So, if someone has given me the power of attorney or someone asked me to look over his or her property, let's take a simple example of a mobile phone. If you guys give me your mobile phone, so please keep it for a while and I will take my mobile phone from you afterwards. Now you have given me that. Your mobile phone is a movable property, but if I sell that mobile phone without your consent, without your knowledge, then it is entrustment in IPC. Alright, so this much for the day, and if you have any problem, if you have any question, you can always call me. Alright.